Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bitcoin podcast here on moonducktv. This is episode number 5, and per usual, it's been another exciting week in the world of Bitcoin. That fork, Bitcoin Gold, we talked about last time, it happened, and it happened a little bit earlier than planned. It was supposed to be happening today, and it's already done past, and you can even see that little bubble there on the GDAX chart behind us. So we are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the next upcoming fork, and really the focus of today's episode is going to hone in on SegWit2x, as well as some of the other exchanges about where you can buy cryptocurrencies outside of just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, kind of the big three that are most common, notably on Coinbase. So Josh, back again, buddy, and things have continued to stay exciting.
That's right. The most recent fork has definitely been, it happened a lot faster than anyone thought it was going to happen. Those transactions and blocks just piled up, and yeah, it happened almost a whole day earlier. So I hope everybody was able to manage to get their Bitcoin off the exchanges and into a wallet, or onto an exchange that would actually support the fork.
Yep.
So
have you retrieved your Bitcoin Gold there, Josh? Are you all set and rock to roll? What is Bitcoin Gold trading at right now?
So right now, you actually can only trade it within like some exchanges. You can't, the wallet isn't out until November 1st.
Oh,
At that point, the blockchain will actually open up and you can trade it just like any other cryptocurrency.
okay.
Right now, there are a few exchanges that have given you basically like Bitcoin Gold credit. So if you have Bitcoin, then you get the same amount of Bitcoin Gold. And so they've just given their users this additional Bitcoin Gold coin credit that technically doesn't exist, but since they're on exchanges and everything, they own the exchange, they can do that.
Interesting. Maybe perhaps a little counterintuitive, but I understand what you're getting at. So Bitcoin now, it's leveled out around that like 5.7 mark, still just shy of 6, but it's certainly been up and down, kind of as expected. We saw it ramp up towards the fork once it happened. We've seen some of those folks cash out, right? You got to make that money and then convert it back to USD if you can.
That's right. There was a huge move right after the fork happened, like an hour. A bunch of money went out of Bitcoin and into all the altcoins, all your Ethereum, Litecoin, basically every single altcoin out there. It got a nice pump
Yep.
after this Bitcoin Gold fork happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So where does that leave us, Bud? Coming up next, we did talk in the last episode that there were 2 forks coming. One of them's down now, and this next one on the horizon, this is a big one. This is SegWit2x. And this one, maybe one of the better starting points is just to recognize that Coinbase has already said that they will be supporting this upcoming currency. And that's huge because they are one of the biggest exchanges, and that means a lot of folks are going to have access to this new cryptocurrency as the result of the fork. And that hasn't really ever happened before. As we've talked about, up until now, the only way to retrieve that extra value has been through a relatively painstaking process compared to something like Coinbase.
That's right. Most exchanges in the past, with Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Cash, Coinbase hasn't supported them right away. And Coinbase, or the exchange that Coinbase uses, is called GDAX. They haven't kind of behind it, and so we've had to go into some of these smaller, lesser known exchanges that don't necessarily have the reputation of GDAX and Coinbase. So you've kind of been at the mercy of these random exchanges, either giving you the coin or basically just been at whatever they choose to do.
Yeah.
Now with SegWit2x, GDAX is going to support that right off the bat. So 4 hours, they just sent an email out the other day. 4 hours after that fork happens, you're going to be able to trade that the new SegWit2x coin right away, basically. And I think there's already a future value out for it, and it's pretty high.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe I cut to it a little too soon here, but that's what we've been looking at in the background. So this is a chart of futures, and if you've never traded stocks, if this whole podcast has been uncharted territory for you, buckle your seatbelt because it gets a little bit dense right here. What we're basically looking at is the concept of derivatives, Josh, and that's predicting the future when it comes to stocks, or in this case, a cryptocurrency that we know will exist in the future but doesn't yet. And what we're looking at, it's not just estimation, right? These are data points of what people have already bought in terms of they have figured out that they think this future is going to be worth X amount. They're hedging their bets. So if you were to say, I'm going to buy it at 800 guaranteed, if when it comes out it goes above that, you've made out well. So it's all about predicting the future, and that's what this graph represents.
That's right. And what's important is people have actually put money behind this. So if you go on like the markets and everything, there's already been what's that? A little over $500,000 essentially in Bitcoin in SegWit2x future contracts. So people have already put in over $500,000 trading this coin that doesn't exist yet. They've just been trading the basically the paper that says you own this coin in the future. So, and the $1,000 per coin, that's much higher than Bitcoin Gold. I think right now is at like 120, 150.
And its
And
predecessor,
yeah, Bitcoin Cash is like a little over 300, like 330,
okay,
350, somewhere around there.
Yep. And yeah, there you go. There's one of my Bitcoin ticker alerts. Bitcoin is now less than 5,700 on GDAX. So there you go. So yeah, maybe we should talk about SegWit though a little bit less in the context of what the futures are trading at and what SegWit actually means. So what's the best starting point here, Josh? Maybe I should pull up this Investopedia page that just explains the basic of segregated witness, which is the expanded form of what SegWit stands for.
Yeah, so we won't go into too much like technically how they do it, since even I have some trouble understanding that. But the basic concept is SegWit2x is meant to solve the scaling problem of Bitcoin so that you can just handle more transactions on the blockchain. I think we mentioned in the past that if you compare Bitcoin to like a credit card company like Visa or MasterCard, they process orders of magnitude more transactions per whatever time than Bitcoin. And part of the problem is Bitcoin can't scale currently those transactions. It can't handle the exact same amount of transactions as a credit card company. So a lot of the improvements, Bitcoin Cash, the SegWit2x, they're trying to solve what's known as the scaling problem of Bitcoin so that you can just handle more transactions per whatever unit of time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, the definition from that perspective is pretty straightforward. It's just removing information from the blockchain that isn't necessary to be built in within it, that every computer that is syncing and verifying it has to process. Because that's there we go. Because that is a big part of the data. And I think if we scroll down a little bit more, it even has the number here. Yeah, the digital signatures account for 65% of the space in a given transaction. SegWit attempts to ignore the data attached to a signature by stripping off the signature from within the input and moving it to a structure towards the end of a transaction. This would increase the 1 megabyte limit for block sizes to a little under 4 megabytes. So the TLDR on that is it just expands the ledger on the blockchain. So it gives you more space to handle more transactions, and that means your transactions process more quickly and spend less time sitting in queue.
That's right.
So I guess generally speaking, it's a good thing, though perhaps some people still have reservations about this concept.
That's right. There are some people that think moving stuff off the blockchain kind of makes it more of a centralized currency or whatever, more bank structured and less this decentralized thing that no one has control of. Is kind of the argument. So there are a decent amount of people, just like all the other forks, that are kind of against this SegWit2x fork. But yeah, you also have a Coinbase and GDAX, some big heavy hitters for it. So just like anything, there are two parts of the story, and one part thinks that this is the better way to go. And with Bitcoin, if you have a big enough pool that believes that that's the way, you can do that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes this whole landscape very interesting and exciting, but also a little bit scary, because that territory comes with the propaganda war, right? It's in this form of sort of true democracy that the cryptocurrencies are supposed to be based on. It's all about market share, right? We've talked about the miners, and it's a little bit scary if 80% of the mining power is controlled in China. That means China has a pretty strong hold on what's happening with Bitcoin. And if all those miners were to suddenly switch to another cryptocurrency that runs on the same algorithm, you could see somebody making a run at Bitcoin in the not too distant future. So all of this stuff is pretty fascinating, and one of these forks could be the one that starts to overtake the actual Bitcoin. It hasn't happened yet, but who knows?
Correct. Yeah, that's what all their ambitions, all these forks that have happened, that's what their goals have been. I think all of them have clearly stated they want to be like the new Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those things where you fork and everything, and there's like division, but the original Bitcoin, the BTC,
Hmm.
has just overcome all those obstacles
It's the big
and
daddy.
has come, yeah, it's come back even stronger
Hmm.
moving forward.
Yeah, so far at least, so far. But only time will tell. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and this one is a little bit edgy, but it's a new concept. It's this new cryptocurrency called Metronome. It's from someone who's been involved in Bitcoin for a pretty long time. The name is Jeff Garzik. He was a programmer for Bitcoin Core. But basically, the idea is that he thinks the big problem for Bitcoin are these upcoming forks and the nature of how scary it is. You know, if you were just a regular person who had currency in Bitcoin, and let's say you're not paying attention to the news and the ups and downs every day, maybe you have a full-time career and then some, it's really scary to think that one day you could check how much Bitcoin you have to realize that Bitcoin's not worth anything anymore. It's all about this new currency, and you weren't there the day that you needed to secure it on the blockchain. And, you know, that adds to the volatility beyond just the scope of the price of Bitcoin. But could other currencies start to take over in the space? And if there's some way that all these different blockchains could have a commonality, that would be really cool. That would be some sort of insulation. So just as someone switching from traditional banks to blockchain currency, it gives you a little more insulation against that volatility. But how does that work? I don't know. They announced the idea, and they said there's going to be more information coming in December. So lots to look forward to there, Josh. As always in this crazy world, lot of talk. We'll see if they can walk anything resembling the walk to pull something like that off, huh?
That's right. ICO, that's kind of been how ICOs have been launched. Someone has this amazing revolutionary idea, and the ICO is really just a way to fund this revolutionary idea. And there's money just in this space right now. It's incredible how much money there is in the space
Hmm.
because you get a token that's worth some monetary value, and there's just been a huge bull market. So the price is always going up.
Yeah.
And so people have been able to raise tremendous amounts of money to fuel these ideas. And some of them, I don't know, you have your mixed bag of good and bad and everything. And there are some bad actors, but there are also some really revolutionary ideas that people are trying to launch this way.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one, I guess, to keep your eyes out. We'll see if they can actually pull it off. What they're saying is pretty far out there if they can actually accomplish it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how they would do it, but if they could actually do it, it'd be a very good way to kind of like you said, hedge against forks and simplify everything for the everyday investor that
Right.
doesn't keep track of the news and doesn't whatever read cryptocurrency blogs or news
Right.
websites every single day.
I mean, eventually the goal is to have some sort of cryptocurrency give users and consumers that same peace of mind that you think you have from banks, right? That idea that my money's in the bank, I can go to sleep well knowing that it's there and it's safe, and when I wake up tomorrow or the next day, I can leave the country for a year and come back and my money's going to be sitting there safe and sound, right? And at this point, that's just a number in a database. Right, so it is a little bit scary, but that's the point that I think cryptocurrency is really aspiring to be. Yeah.
Yeah, if the goal is to make it mainstream, then yeah,
Mm.
it has to do that.
A fair caveat, yeah, if that truly is your goal. And I'm sure not everyone that is invested in Bitcoin would share that assessment. So I digress. One of the last things we wanted to talk about today are other exchanges, right? We've obviously talked about GDAX a whole lot. We've talked a lot about Coinbase and some of the other ones. But a common question we've been getting on social media and on these YouTube comments are, how do I trade these other coins? You know, what do I do? Like, okay, an ICO sounds kind of cool, but what do I do once I have this new altcoin? B2X is one of those options. We're kind of scrolling through their site right now. This was our go-to option. I guess there have been some allegations recently about account closures and all sorts of other things like that they haven't really responded to. So I guess use at your own risk is a temporary disclaimer, at least until B2X replies to some of the allegations. But this is one exchange very similar to GDAX in the way it uses, but has a lot more options in terms of the cryptos that you can buy.
That's right. And there are a ton of exchanges out there. It really is amazing how many exchanges you can actually find out there. But Bittrex is a big one, and you can trade BTC to many. I think there are over 200 possibly altcoins
Hmm.
on there. You can trade Ethereum to a bunch of altcoins, and you can trade USD Tether coins, which basically just is the equivalent of a US dollar, but
Yeah.
it's not a US dollar.
Yeah. So, and then that leads us here into yobit.net, another one of these exchanges where you can trade all sorts of different cryptos. Josh's head is actually blocking it a little bit here, but you can see the massive amount of values fluctuating back and forth, and these are all over here representative of different cryptocurrencies. What's cool about Yobit is it only trades into Bitcoin, so there's no dollar cash outs here. So this one's maybe a little bit harder to follow because all of these are the values relative to Bitcoin, and some of these coins aren't worth a hell of a lot. So we're talking 0.00015 of a Bitcoin. It gets a little technical to try to read those numbers, but I guess the other disclaimer here, Josh, is as always, the more cutting edge and new and kind of robust, I guess, these sites are, there's a degree of risk that comes along with it. There's a reason why Coinbase only offers 3 cryptocurrencies. They take a lot of extra precautions in terms of security, and they set the bar pretty high. All of these other exchanges, it's not to say they aren't secure, but they are probably on a tier below Coinbase in terms of raw security, if that makes sense. Is that a fair way to bill it?
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. That's a really good way to put it. These other exchanges, they add almost like whatever new coin comes out. Some of them, because there are new coins coming out every single week, and they get paid based on they take a percentage of each trade that goes down their exchanges. So it's kind of their incentive to add more coins so that more people will trade these coins on the site. So, for instance, like Yobit, you can trade Bitcoin Gold on that one. B2X does not have Bitcoin Gold on it. And just like we talked about GDAX and Coinbase, some of them just choose not to support certain coins. So you may not find every single coin on the next exchange out there. You kind of have to figure out which exchanges hold which coins if you want to trade in them.
Yeah, exactly. So, unfortunately, there is no turnkey solution depending on what currency you want to buy and exactly what you want to do with it, right? A lot of these ICOs, people are buying into them because they believe in the technology, not necessarily because they want to cash out the value for dollars in the immediate future. So it sort of all depends on the ICO and what you want to do and what your plan is as an investor or a holder or a trader. The sky's the limit, and our goal here is just to help guide you through this sea of information so that you can digest it a little bit. And with that said, looking forward, Josh, I think next week we're probably going to be looking at esports.com. Their ICO launches in 6 days, I think, so we're going to do a little bit of due diligence there, kind of report in on that. We do still want to have one on Skincoin coming up in the relatively near future, but we'll probably revisit SegWit2x once that fork actually happens and keep you guys up to date on the timing there. But another one of these in the bag, Josh. Hopefully the news keeps up like this because the last couple weeks have been pretty exciting, just being on the pulse of what's been happening in the crypto space.
That's right. It seems like it's reaching new highs. Maybe by the next time we talk, who knows what the price will be.
That's true. We're at 57 today, and who knows what's happening tomorrow. You know the old saying, Josh, the best time to buy Bitcoin was yesterday, and the second best time is today.
That's right.
And with that, we'll leave you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.